Hello, my name is Blair Minchin. I'm a primary school teacher based in Edinburgh, and it's lovely to be with you today. Really sorry we're not in person. I feel I do much better in person at these things. I've done a few of these kind of Zoom conferences and that over lockdown. Yeah, and I feel like I really muddle my words, and also I waffle way too much because there's no one here to stop me, or I can't read people and they're like, stop talking. So I apologise. When Helen Fleming asked me to speak at this conference, I honestly was a little bit unsure because I didn't know how much I had to offer. I really feel I know quite a lot about trauma-informed practice and restorative justice, and that's kind of what a lot of my reading is centered around. And I guess teaching dyslexic children kind of falls into that a little bit. However, I don't class myself as a dyslexia expert in any sense of the way. However, speaking to Helen, who's been amazing, she was kind of saying that a lot of my practice was quite inclusive. And last year I had three children and then a fourth maybe in the class dyslexic. So yeah, I had to come up with lots of strategies and lots of ways to involve these children, especially because I taught in primary 7, and at that age as well, so much of what we do is literacy rich. It's reading driven, a lot of independent research and stuff. So try and find ways to involve them. Anyway, I'm going to fly through these slides. Hopefully, lots of good examples to show you what I've found has worked in my practice, at least. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, kind of on Facebook, but not really. I've got a YouTube page, so if you ever want to get in touch, feel free. I've got an email there as well. And I think this is a good way to start off. You know, uh, Give them a choice, give them a voice. That's kind of my mantra. I feel we should be giving children a choice in every aspect of their learning, really, giving them options as to how they want to present it, because that is how they will. That's how we empower young people. That's how they learn to understand themselves, their own skills, their own talents, what they're good at, what they're better at, where their development needs are. So yeah, give them a choice, give them a voice. Right. Let's see. Perfect. I don't know how you're watching this. I would love to have a MacBook. I don't, got an HP. But still, I think it's just a great place to start to think that, all through this lockdown, I've been filming so many lessons. All of my team stuff was done via video, like 2-minute video lessons on my Apple iPhone. And I just think, how apt to it. We're at the Dyslexia Scotland conference, and that Steve Jobs himself was dyslexic. I kind of have four principles. When I sat down and thought about, right, what do I do for dyslexic people? It's four things. Um, it really, a huge part of it is your literacy lessons, what you do. Second part, support, relevance, so making it relevant to them, and I'll come to why I think that is such a crucial and part of that, and digital support as well. I think with just Steve Jobs there, eh? Technology is amazing these days, and especially with distance learning and remote learning. Um, there's so many great tools out there, and so I'm going to share a couple that have really worked for my class. I love that wee quote there as well from Erica Cook. There, yeah, I suffer from the ignorance of people who think they know what I can and cannot do. I think that's quite true. Loading up. Literacy lessons. So last year, and the last few years, I've worked with primary 7, but this year I'm working with a primary 3. Now I've got a couple suspected dyslexic children there, none diagnosed yet, or that. But I thought it's just an interesting way to kind of maybe see what I'm doing to try and encompass everybody and make it really inclusive for the whole class. So we follow Read Write Inc. at my school, which is very phonics driven. So what we do though at the start is usually I get them out onto the carpet in wee groups, but we do a whole class phonics session at the start, and I just fly through some slides. Spelling, we do spelling every day and giving them choice again and how they do their spelling words. And down in kind of the bottom corner, hopefully I think I've got a video somewhere. We've got what we call the Wilmer show, which I've got a wee video of to show you. That hopefully shows you how I'm trying to make literacy, spelling, reading, all these things not scary. Make them fun, enjoyable, and accessible for all. So my literacy lessons usually start like this. I've got that up on the board once they finish their morning task, and everybody knows to run to the carpet. Here we go. Right, ready, steady, off we go. And then just these sounds fly up on the board. We chant them all together. It's like a choral thing, so everybody boosting. We do it every single day. Just loads and loads of sounds for about a minute. Then we move on to what we call Fred words. It's for a read, write, ink thing, which is totally new to me, I would say. I had done Fresh Start before, up to school, but yeah, teaching phonics, something I'd never done. So it's been interesting. Yeah, Fred's this wee frog thing, but this is Kermit anyway. So this is just, again, as a whole class, I've got a laser pointer, which is amazing. So just point at the letter bit, e-erd, beard. Put it that way. Wish, grand. We do maybe 15 words like that, and I try and link them to their spelling sound for that week as well. And then we do partner power spelling. So they all sit with a partner at all times. It gives them a kind of a safety net, or a safety net there, somebody they can ask. Anyway, so they get a whiteboard and a partner, and then I give me a word that begins with sh, that sound sh. Now, for those that are able, they write lots of words. For those that aren't, write just one word in that. I kind of challenge them as well. On Monday, I'll be like, give me a word that starts with sh. On Tuesday, I might be like, give me another word that starts with sh. On Wednesday, I'll be like, give me a word that ends with sh. I don't know, so like bush or rush or whatever. It's great because all these words fly up, and I write down loads of words up on the board. So I'm like, oh, amazing. Bush, rush. I'm going to try and think of words with sh in it. Fish, whatever. Up there. By the end of that, and it only takes like 3 minutes, there's tons of words up there. Everybody's included, everybody's involved. It's a great way just to get, it's a morale booster really, it's a motivator for them. The kids seem to really thrive on it. Oh, there we go, more letters. Is that load? My next slide. Yeah, so then after that, we go to reading. Reading, of course, I know there's like Barrington Stoke books and that, which are fantastic. The Read Write Ink books for the primary threes at the moment, quite well spaced. They're written quite well. I don't have any children in my class who are struggling with it at the moment, but regardless, what I would do is with their partner, at the start of the book, they go through their sounds, so their phonic sounds. Then there's red words, those words that you can't sound out, like the and things. Then they read the story. One person's tracking with a wee stick. They all design their own stick. The other person's reading, and then they swap over. They track, they read. It's just great to have a wee cushion of support there. There's speedy green words at the back, so they green them, and then there's a few questions to discuss as well. I'll be honest, people rarely get to the questions to discuss part, but it's just that daily reading. This is only for about 20-25 minutes as well. Whilst that's going on, I'm taking groups of children, I'm bringing them onto the carpet, and I'm doing their phonic sounds with them as well. I like Read Write Ink as well, because with, I don't know if it's a w sound, we'll say like whirl and twirl, whirl and twirl. So there's that alliteration and that rhyme with it as well. The kids pick up on that really well. I think that's great for children who are dyslexic as well, to get those sounds in their head. So that was reading. This is kind of spelling now as well. So we practice our spelling words all week. The whole class do them. There's a real choice as well. So those that are kind of more able, I've got them, once they know the spelling pattern by maybe Wednesday, going in the dictionary and finding some other words, more challenging ones. For everybody else, there's a real choice in how we take on those spelling activities. They could do pyramid spelling. They can unjumble the words, look, cover, write, check. We can do it with handwriting, and I find that's great. I mean, I'm sure lots of us have read the research around cursive writing and the benefits for dyslexic children with that. So I find that's a really good one. It worked well in primary 7 too, I felt, to get that flow with the letters. Anyway, they practice their spelling words all week, and then on Friday we have the Wilmer show. Now, hopefully this will play. Yeah, grand. There's the saxophone music in the background. So everybody comes in, get a whiteboard. Their jotter's got their spelling words in it for the week. 2 children are chosen. They come up to the front. They are playing for the bedtime box, which is a book and a hot chocolate that goes home. They're playing up against Wilmer, my little puppet. Our spelling words for the week are up on the board, but they're also in their jotter too. And the kids all get to sit with their partner too. Yeah, so they come up. They take on Wilmer, who gets many of the words wrong. I have an assistant who writes up. So, I say the word. I don't know, something like the first word is duck. If we were looking at that kit and kick and kiss sound, it's duck. So everybody tries to write it down. people, the two contestants on the chair, they get to work together as well, so it's not too scary sitting up in front of everybody there. Wilmer then has a go, and he'll spell it like k. That's it, nothing. And then all the kids kind of laugh. Oh, it's funny, you can't spell it. Oh, Wilmer, what are you like? Oh dear. So then I asked the rest of the class to hold up their whiteboards, and the contestants. They usually all have it right. So the contestants get a point. They move up. Wilmer does not. Although now and again Wilmer gets it right, and it's lovely as well because the kids are so encouraging. Don't worry, Wilmer, you'll get it next time and stuff, which really warms my heart. I thought they would be laughing and making fun of him, but no, they like to walk around and stroke him as well, which is lovely. Anyway, I think it's just a really good way to get children excited about spelling, and even those children who really struggle. I've got some who are like, I can't do this during the week, but they bounce in on a Friday ready for this, and they give it a really good go. They're motivated, they're excited, and they cheer on the people up at the front. I would say as well, it's not just like 10 words and it's the same thing. That would be boring. I've got like different rounds. So maybe there's an unjumble the word round, and so the word's up on the board and they have to unjumble the letters to get it. We've got a describer, so like it describes what the word is. So I think one of our words was teacher, and it was like Mr. Minchin used to work in law, but now he is primary threes ... and they have to think of the word and then obviously write it down as well. So yeah, just different fun ways to keep the show entertaining and that. Yeah, it's really good, and I think as well that the prize is a book and a hot chocolate that goes home. It's reinforcing the importance of reading. I think that's so important, just showing it constantly, especially for those dyslexic children who sometimes, well, yeah, from my experience at least, maybe I'm not speaking for all, but from my experience, shy away from books. They find them a bit intimidating. They find them a bit scary. They don't like writing. Can I draw it as a picture? Oh, when are we doing art? Is it PE? Is it PE tomorrow? That's the kind of conversations I had for the last couple of years with the four kids in my class. And so I'm doing this now. I probably should have done it back then. I got it from a school down south who do a large P1 and 2 spelling assembly. Their name has left me, but if it comes back to me at the end, I will definitely give them a name drop. Fantastic school though. Hillcrest Academy, that's the one. So they do it. Check them out on Twitter. They film all their assemblies as well. But they've got lots of writing up there as well about how they've seen a real impact on their dyslexic pupils too, and how they're just more motivated and more excited about writing. So that was kind of literacy lessons, I guess. This is also literacy lessons, but I'm moving on to support. Now, as I said, with primary threes, there's lots of support. They've always got someone there to work with them, kind of a crutch to lean on or that, or somebody to ask. But this is from primary 7 last year, so this is just to show tasks. This was a literacy task. We took a book from the P1 and 2 classroom, so we took Funny Bones. I love Funny Bones. What a book. Absolutely love it. Anyway, so we took it. They had to read the book, but I put them in threes, and I made them kind of mixability. So I had someone who was really confident reading, had somebody who was decent at writing too, and I had somebody who was maybe a little less confident with those things. And I said, right, you're going to retell the story with a stop-start animation. So it was great. It's again using that digital literacy and that, but everybody takes on a different role. It allows everybody to get involved. And it's that support system as well. It doesn't matter if one can't really read the book. What does that say again? They're there to help each other out. Yeah, I like things like this when we're talking about support as well. Magazine sentences. I don't know if you've ever done this with a newspaper. The words are already there. They're sometimes nice and big. Different fonts as well, which is good. It is good for dyslexic children to see different fonts. Yeah, cutting them out, making sentences with them. And then I find as well, this idea of support, this is primary 7 again, it's more of a health and well-being thing. But I think this kind of gets to the crux of the matter, because this is health and well-being, but they wanted to take on big questions like what makes a man. We looked at Black Lives Matter, we looked at homosexuality, we looked at all these different things. And the way I did it was to print out lots and lots of resources, put them all around the classroom, and let the kids carousel around. So you can see maybe at the top there, I kind of had pictures and short quotes, but then in the bottom left, you can see I had more chunky sentences and tweets, Facebook posts, all these sorts of things, articles from newspapers. And so again, it was really good to have children there to support each other. Some are EAL as well there, but it's the note taking part of it, and everybody can input, everybody can get involved. Then we would come down and sit in a circle and a massive focus on listening and talking as well. I think if children are able to explain their thoughts, are able to say it out loud and understand that their thoughts and their voice is valued, then they're more likely to give it a go, even though they despise writing, or they're like, oh, I'm not reading again. So again, it's all about that support structure in place for them. I like this. This is a fun thing I've started doing this year with Primary 3 again. It's a really good way to include everybody in the class. Our health and wellbeing topic at the moment is take a moment. We're trying to build resilience in our kids. So I take a story book. This is one that we've read in classes, Sweep. It's a really good book about a wee man called Ed who gets really wound up and he doesn't quite know why, and he sweeps like the whole city up. And then he realises that it was all silly and the wind blows everything away, and actually he's quite happy again. But I call this talking tables. So I split my class into 6 groups, and I make sure everybody's got a good writer. So there's a note taker, someone who's quite bossy, no, someone who's a good negotiator as well, a facilitator, and then the rest are going to be talkers. And what I do is, after we've read the stories to class, they all sit at a table in their group, and I pop a slide up on the board. So I've taken a picture of the book and then the question, and I read it out as well. What season is it, and why do you think that? Everybody at the table gets to say their opinion. The note taker writes it down. And then what I do is I just grab 1 or 2 tables. I say, right, what did this table think? Write it up on the board. What did this table think? Right up on the board. Any other tables? Anything different? Anything to add? Because usually it's the same things they're saying. Yeah, and we fill the board with all these ideas, so we have loads and loads of things to talk about with the book. Yeah, and then that's great because I use that to then get in touch with authors as well. Kids make wee videos, get in touch with them on Twitter. It's been great. Yeah, this is a lovely quote, I think, from Orlando Bloom. I was going to say, I'll give you a moment to read it. Why don't I just read it as well? So, creativity is key for any child with dyslexia, or for anyone for that matter. Then you can think outside the box. Teach them anything is attainable. Let them run with what you see as whatever they need to run with. I think that's just fantastic. Let them run with what you see is whatever they need to run with. I love it. I think creativity is so important in the classroom, and especially for dyslexic pupils who, yeah, have strengths in different areas. We know that. I feel when I was preparing for this dyslexia, I was thinking so much about literacy, but I understand it feeds into everything. And there's so many case studies, there's research, there's examples of the fantastic ways in which their brains work and their minds function, that lets them, as Orlando Bloom said there, think outside the box. So I think championing that is a huge part of what we should be doing in the classroom. And again, something I've seen a real benefit in boosting confidence and empowering these young people. So last year in Primary 7, I haven't got it yet in P3. I need to get them kind of in the swing of things first, especially after lockdown. But after October, I'll do this too. Anyway, we have a big ideas box. It's literally just a little box that hung on the wall. And this was blank as well. That wall had nothing on it. And I said, if you've got an idea for a lesson, if you've got an idea for something you want to do in class, something you want to do at home, somebody we can get in touch with, whatever, write it on a post-it note, which there was a wee pile underneath there. Write it on a post-it note and stick it in the box. Or even come and see me and we can write it together and we'll stick it in the box. It's been the most incredible thing I think I've done since I started teaching. It changed the way that I looked at the curriculum, that I looked at the classroom, everything, because it really ended up being so organic and things were led by the kids, and we did some incredible things. You might be able to see a few of them there. Started off kind of small scaley things, like one child wanted to do maths problems outside for parents, so I gave them chalk and they went outside and they did maths problems. Somebody had found this this old box of drawers, this plastic one, down the bottom of the stairs, and they were like, can we turn that into something? Yeah, of course. We'll grab it up the stairs, give them time out of class, turn it into a wee planter with a light and all that. We grew some plants. Yeah, that was grand. They wanted to change the corner of the classroom again. Can we turn that into a garden? Yeah, no worries. So we made a lovely garden there. And all those wee orange notes are nice positive comments, notes of kindness, things that people had done. The library, they wanted to redesign the library, so we ended up building a wee tent. We reordered the books. They weren't alphabetical. We changed them into genre, which the kids liked more. Really sadly, our library got flooded. So the kids had done all that work. It stayed that way for about a month, and then the whole thing got flooded. So their hard work went down the drain, literally, with the water. But again, it was fantastic to see them, and actually there was a real buzz about that, and getting the whole class involved in reordering books as well. Amazing, loved it. At the top, they wanted to do more coding stuff and more technologies. So could we get some circuit design? Could we get something we could do that with? So we set up a wee tuck shop. We sold popcorn. We made enough money to buy some makey kits. And then two girls, one who was one of my dyslexic pupils, who is an absolute superstar as well, a trooper. They wanted to set up a ballet class because they were very good at ballet. Both of them have got into a ballet school now, actually. They wanted to set up for P1s. And at the start, it sounded a bit, oh, this is going to be a lot of effort and that. They signed up P1 kids. They took them once a week at lunchtime in the gym hall, and it was just the most wonderful thing. They went from 7 pupils to 16, and then they started it again in their primary 7 last year. And we had even more kids again. It was amazing. The girls were so good. They created these certificates and stickers. They really planned it. I gave them time out of class to go and do it as well, but it was just amazing to see the confidence and the pride in what they were doing too. And they became real leaders as well. The P1s and 2s would run up to them in the playground and that, giving them that. It's giving them that chance to be creative, to really show what they can do and let them run with it. Yeah, it was just amazing. And I think as well, it's interesting though, that girl who was dyslexic, who is an amazing dancer too, through that then went for a sport captain. We have house sport in our school, went for a sport captain and was our sport personality of the year, the end of the year. So yeah, she wouldn't have done that, I don't think, had she not had the opportunity to show that she could lead in a smaller setting with the P1 and 2s. So there are small scale things, big scale things though. Mad. Can we open a restaurant? Was one. Yeah, of course we could open a restaurant. Yeah, what do we need to do that then? Well, we need a celebrity chef to come in. So we wrote to Tom Kitchen, and he came in and he brought a live lobster and live fish and all that in. We cooked every week in groups of 3 again, and in those support roles. So one person was the camera person, one person was reading the instructions, the other person was the chef, and they swapped roles every week. We cooked really good dishes. Like, that's a lovely chili fish dish there with green beans and onions and tomatoes and things. It was lovely. We had, again, celebrity chefs coming, and then we invited all the parents, and then we actually opened the restaurant. It was the most stressful night of my life, cooking for 50 parents and having the kids. Obviously the kids were cooking it and waiting, and we had the wee coffee shop bar set up. Don't know if you can see at the back, there was one of the girls playing guitar all night as well for the parents. But oh, it was just wonderful. And again, to see those children, I mean, it's Dyslexia Scotland, but my EAL pupils, my kids with autism as well, all of them coming together and doing incredible things, really meshing together, playing to their strengths. Just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I would say as well, we wrote to Edinburgh Rugby. Edinburgh Rugby got us tickets to the Edinburgh Glasgow match. We went up, they came in. We wrote to BBC One Show. We ended up being on the One Show, reading poetry. Again, a child who really, really struggled with poetry. They filmed 10 of them. 10 of them. They only showed 2. It was for Benjamin Zephaniah was on, and one of them who really struggles got his wee poem about KFC picked. And oh, when it came in the next day, he was just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. He's bouncing. And I remember as well, he was like, I'm really going to try with my literacy. And you know what I mean? So it's just these opportunities, giving children these opportunities to shine does so much. Again, linking things to the world of work is great. Kids want to do that as well. They want to do things that they can see themselves maybe doing in future. So they want to build houses and showing that this translates all the way through to other areas of the curriculum, you know. So they were given a floor plan, and they had to build the houses and put it all together. And that. And then this year, with my primary 3s, I've started doing what I call Discovery Days, or Imagigogy, like imagination and pedagogy put together, Imagigogy. Yeah, where we do a whole day It's usually linked around a Pixar movie. This one, though, is a little bit different. This was about a Hindu wedding. So we're learning about Rangoli patterns. We cooked curry. We looked at the Hindu religion as well, all the different gods. We made mandalas, Mendi patterns, instruction writing. But again, it's really, these are organic ideas all coming from the kids. What do you want to do this week? What learn about this, right? What could we do around about that? Could we do some art? Could we do some cooking? Whatever. Bringing it all together. Again, I think it's a great day to. There's so many areas of the curriculum that I'm hitting there, and as a teacher, I'm always conscious about pushing kids on, talking about closing the gap, aren't we, and things. And sometimes it could be you feel a wee bit of pressure to kind of push kids on with things. But I think days like this, when it's kind of just free, and you're like, right, let's have a go at this, let's learn about this, let's do this, and the kids are kind of directing it and taking it in different ways. It's just fantastic to see everybody getting involved, and yeah, it's been really good, and I couldn't recommend it enough. Yeah, again, it's kind of linking it to their place in the world. We've been kind of building things as well, using the workbench and stuff. Just wanted to show that off there. And finally, I guess, I wanted to talk about digital devices and how they can help. I'm sure most of us, if we're here, are aware of some of them. But yeah, two that I found really useful in primary 7 especially. One was the Seeing AI app. It's, I think, I don't want to offend anybody. I think I'm pretty right in saying it was touted as the app for the blind. But basically, you point this app at anything and it will read it, which is incredible. It's not only that, like if you get your phone or your iPad or whatever, you don't even have to like hold it there the whole time and make sure it's lined up. You literally flash it at the screen and then take your phone away and it will read exactly what it saw right there. You can speed it up, you can slow it down, you can change the accent, you can change the voice on it. Just an amazing piece of kit. We've used it with reading books, we've used it with newspapers. With that activity I had with the big questions where kids were going around, I used it there too. I gave iPads to 3 pupils and they just went around, held it over, would read it out to them. You can also put headphones in it as well. One child was a wee bit in the reading lessons. Reading lessons can be a bit quiet at times, so he was quite self-conscious. So I said, well, here's a pair of headphones, mate. On you go. On went the headphones. Yeah, fantastic. Google Translate as well actually does the same thing. Not as good as Seeing AI, but if you take a picture of something and press play on Google Translate, it will read that whole page to you again, which is just fantastic. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It's free as well. It does need quite a new iPad though. I think it's iOS 11 it needs. So kind of the older ones don't work, but newer iPads are perfect for it. We also talked as well. At the end of last year, I had this idea to do a big cross country running with the whole school and raise money to buy wee iPod touches. Because we thought, not every kid needs an iPad. Hey, iPads are big and expensive. iPod Touch, you can get them like for 100 quid rather than 400 quid. And that's all they need. That's all they need to scan a page and then they're listening to it. So yeah, that's something I'd like to work on. Just a wee tip, I guess. Yeah, and then the other tool that we found really useful, and I think is especially important for this time during remote learning and distance learning, is Immersive Reader. Now, if you've not used Immersive Reader, you can get it on like Google Chrome and things like that, but you just get it on even a Word document. So if you've got a worksheet, if you've got a piece of writing or whatever, load it onto a Word document on your iPad or on your laptop or whatever, and just click that wee icon. It's always at the top. It's underneath Tools, Immersive Reader. It's incredible. So you can space out the letters however much you like. You can change the background color. You can do anything. You can underline certain letters. It will again read it for you, but it highlights the word as it goes. You can choose though. It will highlight the paragraph. It can highlight the line. It can highlight the word as it goes along. Different accents, different voices. It's an absolutely incredible and invaluable tool for remote learning for children to be able to access these longer texts. I found it something to be really useful. Yeah, so those two apps, Google Translate as well, is a really good one too. Um, So yeah, I guess that's the 4 principles I'm using in my classroom when I'm wanting to make sure that I'm supporting those dyslexic pupils as much as possible. Literacy lessons, literacy is so important, I feel, so always making sure that they're motivated, they're excited, that there's still adequate challenge, but that it's safe. It's a welcoming environment, literacy. It's not like, right, today we're writing an essay. Support from me, from resources around the room. Again, I maybe should have mentioned there that digital support, especially in primary 7, giving children those iPads, giving children those audiobooks. We've given them Kindles as well to access text on, because again, they can change the size of the font and that. All these ways, great. But of course, I think the best way to do it is with another pupil beside you. So ensuring that there's someone there to support them. And if that doesn't work, giving them strategies like Brain Buddy Boss or Magpie Minute or whatever it might be to go around the classroom and get a wee bit of help. Relevance. I guess that comes down to that big ideas box that I was saying, making the learning relevant to them, allowing them to be creative, allowing them to take the learning in the direction that they want to. I think it does wonders for them. And finally, I kind of touched on it there. Yeah, that digital support, so powerful. It does so many great things for kids. Yeah, and how funny as well. I'm just sitting here. I had Steve Jobs at the start. Bill Gates also dyslexic, and it's just like, where would we be? Where would we have been in lockdown without Bill Gates and Teams and Google Classroom and laptops and all the rest of it? I think as well, it's just fantastic to have pictures of these people and these role models all around your classroom. I used to have lots of pictures of people coming up the stairs. I had them reading. So I had like Marcus Rashford reading, people like that, and then just wee quotes. And there's great dyslexia posters as well, dyslexia action posters as well that we used to put up. Because I think just, you know, there's that saying, isn't there? If I can conceive it and if I can believe it, then I can achieve it. I think that's really good for adults. I think for children, we need to make it more visual. They need to be able to see it. I think it's if I can see it, if I can believe in it, then I can achieve it. And so, as teachers in the classroom, it's this environment. It's making sure that these things are visually there in the classroom, just like many wee silent cheerleaders cheering everybody along. That's what I like to think of them on. See, I went and waffled there. I had something very profound to say in my head, and I went and waffled. Never mind. So thank you so much for listening to me blabber on there. I hope it was useful. As I said, I don't consider myself to be an expert in dyslexia at all. However, these are ways that I found that really help those pupils thrive and flourish in the classroom. They came in daily happy. They gave their best. They achieved really well in their SNSAs. Not that I prefer to use the SNSAs as a measurement of what we do in schools, but here I think we're maybe heading in that direction, sadly, aren't we? But no, they really did. They came on leaps and bounds. Yeah. So thank you so much for listening to me. Again, if you want to get into contact with me, emails there. You can catch me on Twitter's my main thing. Instagram's I'm getting there. Facebook not really there. YouTube have my channel. TikTok. Is anybody on TikTok? I have a TikTok, but I don't really understand it. Thank you again. Hope the rest of this conference has been really worthwhile for you. And have a good return to school as well. Have a lovely weekend. Thanks very much, guys.